Named them Hector and Sly. And I'm going to tell you today why they are such good friends of mine. We're all students. Most of us have jobs. Some of us are parents. And all that stuff is a lot of responsibility and can lead to stress. Do you know what else can lead to stress? A toxic living space. A toxic living space can result in poor sleep, and we know from Rosie just now that's not a good thing. Physical illness, reduced focus and productivity, diminished happiness and overall well-being, and more stress. So we have these little guys here. They're called succulents. Do we know what succulents are? In case you don't know, succulents are plants that are native to areas that don't get much water. So they're able to store water. And they either have very thick, sort of waxy, leathery, tough leaves, or they have sort of fat, chunky leaves. If you break them open, they'll be sort of like a gel inside. So they store water. Now, succulents can provide a healthier living environment, a place to de-stress, an environment conducive to good sleep, a space that helps increase focus and productivity, and an atmosphere that promotes happiness and overall well-being. Now, this is actually my living room front window table. This is where my collection of succulents lives. When I first moved here from Georgia, I bought them all. When I bought them all, they were this size. So I've been here 3 years. They grow pretty fast. I bought them because, to me, plants make a house feel like a home. They bring life to a room. But it wasn't until I started researching this speech that I found out exactly how beneficial plants are to an indoor living environment. What I learned inspired me to buy 3 new succulents, these 2, and then one I didn't bring with me today because, I mean, there's a point where we get excessive, right? Now, what magic powers of succulents did I learn about that so inspired me to go out and buy more, besides the fact that I just like them? Alright, so a study by NASA was cited in both NBCnews.com and the website succulents.net. They cite this NASA study that was created to design the ideal biohome. And one of the discoveries that they made is something that I find satisfyingly nerdy. Succulents can remove volatile organic compounds, or VOCs, from the air. The way they do this is really cool. They suck them in through the leaves, pull them down into the plants, into the roots, into the dirt, and turn those compounds into plant food. That is just like so cool to me. And in an ideal situation, plants can remove up to 87% of those VOC toxins from the air within a 24-hour period. Now, somebody, I don't remember who it was, did a speech on the Amazon rainforest and how the rainforest are the lungs of the planet. Plants do the same thing inside your house. During the photosynthesis metabolic cycle, they take in carbon dioxide and then they oxygenate your air. And because photosynthesis happens during light hours, generally, they release oxygen during daylight and don't during night. But because of the slow metabolism of succulents, they're like the plant form of sloths, which is also really awesome. They actually have a 24-hour cycle where they continuously release oxygen. And all of this extra oxygen can lead to better sleep, and a 15% boost in concentration and productivity. Another thing that succulents can do is act as natural humidifiers, especially during the winter when we have heat on. The heat dries out the air inside your house. And this can aggravate sore throats, common colds, dry coughs, and it can lead to dry and itchy skin. Succulents particularly, plants in general, but again, succulents particularly, release moisture into the air that can help alleviate these problems. And then one final thing, I guess I got there faster than I wanted to, is that succulents can create a space that fosters relaxation, boosts mood, and benefits overall physical well-being. Psychological studies show that exposure to greenery and nature can help keep us relaxed and calm. In a study on pain at the University of Kansas, it showed that patients who had plants in their hospital rooms required less pain medication, which suggests that plants can actually physically help us improve our physical well-being. So, besides the magic powers of succulents, they're also absurdly easy to take care of. An article on goodhousekeeping.com listed a few things to keep in mind. They require a bare minimum of material and effort. One thing they need is good drainage, so you need to make sure you have a container that has, like these actually are in plastic that drains, but when you permanently plant them, you'll want them in something that has a hole in the bottom so they can drain. They also need potting soil that's specifically formulated for succulents, which sounds like a big deal, but you can get it at any store where you can find potting soil. I found it, we like the Ace Clifton. Yeah, the Ace in Clifton, and also you can find it at Meijer, anywhere they sell potting soil, and it's the same price as regular potting soil. Also, they need a thorough soaking when, and only when, the soil around them is bone dry. They need plenty of room to grow, so after you buy them in their little mini pots, probably within the year, you'll want to put them in something bigger. And then they need ample sunlight. You want to put them in your sunniest window. There are certain varieties such as aloe and pathos, and this is not aloe vera, but it's in the aloe family. They need less sunlight. They can do with a little more shade. They're usually undergrowth. Good Housekeeping also mentioned some different varieties. We have aloe and pothos there. It doesn't look like a succulent, but again, we have the leathery leaves rather than the juicy leaves. We also have Sansevieria, which is a snake plant. That's this guy, Sly. We have Crassula and the Mammillaria cacti, also known as the woolly cacti. Now, these different types, the varietals are staggeringly, there's a staggering number of them within each category. So whatever you're likely to pick up, find fairly easily, is going to be within one of these categories. They all look different, so if it doesn't look like one of the things I just showed you, it's probably in one of those categories anyway. Unless you go out and deliberately buy something stupidly expensive and exotic. Don't do that. So we've discovered the magic powers of succulents. We've discussed the varieties and some care. So I'm sure now you obviously are wondering, where can I obtain these delightful little gems? And how much are they going to cost me? These were a whopping $2.99 each at Trader Joe's. Trader Joe's always has a table full of mini succulents. If shopping locally is a priority for you, you can get them for around $5 or so at almost always at Findlay Market. I found actually all of my containers came from Goodwill. My Crassula is actually in a coffee pot. Keep in mind with your containers you will need drainage. You can poke a hole or drill a hole in just about anything, including a coffee pot. So also, one last thing, succulents.net, I mentioned it. They have a wealth of information if you have any other questions about succulents. So, reap the benefits of lower stress, increased focus, productivity, better sleep, overall health and happiness, and live the succulent life.